Serious, folks who used to be incels, neckbeards, or nice guys slash nice girls, what helped you snap out of it and how could people help friends or colleagues who may be on or going down that road? Serious replies only. One of the biggest catalysts is simply being made aware of the neckbeard stereotype, I think. I told my mom I wanted to get a hat before I went to Vegas next week, and was thinking of getting a cowboy hat or a boonie hat, and she said, "You should get a hat like Sinatra wore. He was so cool and the king of Vegas. You are not going to trick me into being an outcast, mom." Former nice girl here. I never understood why guys didn't like such a fun, non-slutty me while complaining in the same breath how all men are misogynistic pigs. My form of showing interest was subtle stalking, dropping hints and general awkwardness. Also, I picked guys who were very attractive slash confident, which intimidated me to the point where I couldn't have a normal conversation with them. In high school I pretty much dedicated all my time daydreaming about a boy who had no idea I existed, and in college I chose the aggressive route of awkwardly flirting with him in public and refusing eye contact. I cannot think back without cringing. The funny thing, both the boys ended up dating pretty normal looking girls. I had put them on such a pedestal that with one breath I was implying how undeserving I was of their attentions while complaining how nice good girls like me don't get the guys. I think ultimately growing up and seeing all my closest girlfriends settle into nice, stable relationships is what changed me. How could I expect to be in a healthy relationship when I couldn't value the gender I was supposed to be in a relationship with? So I grew up, started listening to others' opinions, started valuing myself more, and took some time off to be myself rather than to be what somebody else wanted. I realized that not everything was about me. When you're this neckbeard nice guy, it's really just a veil of desperation and cynicism. Everything you do is selfish and disingenuous. I was so nice to her. Why won't she sleep with me? God. She always goes for the jerk off guys. Catch a neckbeard when they're upset. You'll find that, very often, it's not about anyone else but them. They were so nice. They were hurt. They got the shit end of the stick. Then it shifts to blaming. She doesn't like what's good for her. She is a user for abusing your kindness. She should be so lucky. Because clearly, only you know how to treat a woman right. It's disgusting and cringy. I guess I was a nice guy. I treated girls like they were perfect princesses, with the idea that they would obviously see me as their dream man. A few times I confessed to these girls that I loved them, and just wanted to make them happy, and they should be with me. My freshman year of college, a senior in my fraternity explained one-itis to me. I was taking any little kind gesture from a female and exploding it in my head, convincing myself she was the one. All over simple things like sending me an IM, or talking to me for 10 minutes. Once I realized that this infatuation was in my head, all over something that didn't exist, I got out of that rut. I just started talking to girls like people. I'll go. I was cringy as all get out in early high school, 10 years ago for me, and I am super thankful that MySpace went south, so most of my cringy nice guy posts are no longer accessible. What helped me was I was involved in some hobbies that made me a lot of older friends. One of them, about 10 years my senior, sat me down and straight up told me life was never going to get better until I changed how I was doing things. He didn't tell me to stop liking Lord of the Rings or video games, but rethink how I express that to other people, whether I am trying to exclude people with my interests or include people. Whether I am really being kind to everyone around me or just a nice guy to women I wanted to date. That advice couldn't come from a peer, because I hated my peer group, and couldn't come from my parents, who didn't know how deep the cringe went, but could have only come from a respected mentor. I really look forward to hearing from some recovered/recovering cringe lords. It's a bit weird, but in my late teens, I'm 30 now, I started playing female characters in MMOs, firstly just as a joke, but as time went on and I started making friends it became more and more difficult to tell people the truth. I soon found myself on the receiving end of the exact same attention and behaviors I was exhibiting myself in the presence of girls. It was like looking in a mirror for the first time. Every word and action seemed to be meticulously thought out as if to be as inoffensive as possible, while subtly trying to passive-aggressively build a relationship as if I didn't see right through them. I wondered if it might be as obvious for actual women. I've never been the confrontational type, so I tried to let them all down as gently as possible, an approach that proved completely ineffective. I was worried that if I told them the truth it would destroy them, and I didn't want to be nasty either. Continuously I found myself getting backed into corners like that. I honestly had no idea that's what I was doing. I used to be a cool girl who thought I was better than other women because I had masculine traits. I ride motorcycles, play video games, hate pink, and drink beer. Then I took a gender psychology class and we learned about loophole women. Same principle as the cool girl. Then I realized that being feminine isn't inherently bad, and I should cut women who enjoyed feminine hobbies more slack. I wasn't an extreme case, but being confronted with my prejudices helped me examine them and actively change. I think that my failed relationship with one of my first loves made me understand that I had problems in that area. I couldn't make a move because I was afraid of rejection or afraid to hurt her, which just ended up wasting both of our times. This was a huge turning point for me too. My first GF, we both lost our virginity to each other, developed a huge crush on a bad boy in one of her classes. I was seething with jealousy and didn't understand how she was choosing him over a nice guy like me. She eventually ended up leaving me for him. Then he rejected her, but that's beside the point. I went through a very cynical period towards women, quoting nice guys finish last garbage to my friends. Thankfully didn't put anything on social media. I vowed to treat women like a bad boy by being more aloof and less caring. Funnily enough it worked, and I got another girlfriend soon after and started to realize it wasn't being a bad boy, it was just treating her like a regular human. Putting women on a pedestal had made me think I had to treat them like princesses when in reality they want to be treated like regular people. Stop telling me to be yourself. Stop all the everybody's equal bullshit. What I really needed to hear was, life isn't fair, you are less attractive than other people and you can either accept that or put some effort into improving yourself. The metaphor from Child's Ladder was something that stayed with me. I was never a neckbeard dude. But I did grow up isolated due to family life up north. I grew up with a bunch of older fishermen who hated my guts. I learned to socialize through violence and hardship. No feelings. Just raw labor and a real dark and nihilistic view of life. In some ways it was similar to the whole neckbeard thing. In another way my life was totally opposite to the whole nice guy culture because I was never immersed into the TV pop culture to be able to hate it. All I had was a fuzzy CBC and a radio. Despite my lack of grammar skills I was apparently smart enough to be employed by the government. My social skills had to improve to maintain the job or it was back to being a fisherman for me. So I became just another dude at work. I tell other stories once in a while about how we would beat the crap out of the DFOs here and there, but they find my stories hard to believe or too savage for their taste, and we regularly go into war zones for work-related stuff by the way. So my past is kept to myself. Violence throughout my life made me cold. But then I got married and had a baby girl. Don't ask me how. I haven't figured that one yet. So now I was forced by myself to be caring and considerate of others, and truly had to learn to be pleasant among others. See, before I had a family, in the back of my head I said to myself that I could always go back fishing up north. But there was no way in hell was I going to bring my family up there. So a pleasant man I became so I could keep my government job to be able to give my little girl a better life than I had. And that's what brought me out of that dark place where everyone and everything sucked. I did it for my baby girl. Women are people, and I think a big part of me didn't realize that up until 10th or 11th grade. I just considered them to be a checklist of trays, but then lamented that they had their own checklists too. I tried to mold my personality into this fake checklist that I hated them for having. What I hadn't realized is that girls that I wasn't trying to date were attracted to me. I was more confident around them and my personality was more genuine. Coincidentally, once I started dating them and gave up on the nice guy TM act, some of the dateable girls from my school began showing interest as well. As cliche as it sounds, the single best thing you can do is to be yourself. If you find somebody who you want to date and who likes you for you, great. If you find somebody who wants to date a fake version of you, you'll resent yourself and you'll eventually resent them. For me, it was really about learning the distinction between being nice and being good. A good person is not nice, a nice person is not good. A good person goes after what they want in a way that respects others' decision-making processes. A good person finds someone who wants the same thing they want so that both will be made happier. A nice person gives another what they want without negotiation for their own needs. They think, I met your needs, and now you have to meet mine. They see other people as owing them for their niceness. A nice person fundamentally misunderstands reciprocity. Yes, a good person will return a favor, but that does not mean you get to choose the favor. Doing something for someone else only to get what you want is manipulative and bad. A good person does not depend upon reciprocity to get what they want. They are reciprocal because it is the right thing to do. They get what they want by stating it clearly and confidently and finding someone who wants the same. I was pretty close to being one of those guys in early HS. Good online friends talked some sense into me, and I realized I had to improve myself if I wanted people to like me. And I did. Same here. I've never been a fat or unattractive guy, nor have a nice guy personality, but experimented with a lot of style choices that made me look unapproachable regardless. It's crazy what clothing and hairstyles can do to a man. I was fortunate enough to have a group of friends that were honest about their opinions. They thought I'd look great if I found the right style, but that what I had wasn't working. I decided to trust their opinions and gave it a shot. I cut my hair, bought clothes that fit me, and worked on my posture. I can't speak for everyone when I say this, but when I came back the next year, the way I was treated was evidently different. I can tell when people are interested in me, and I hadn't gotten that feeling at all while I had the old style. It was kind of surreal. It's not something that just changes one day. It's all just beliefs and actions that really aren't the right things to be thinking or acting. How to avoid. Even that super cute person you like is a person. All those thoughts you have in your head? They have them too. Their own conscious, their own ideas, their own beliefs. They're not just a thing for you to like, they're a complete person. If you want someone to like you, you have to be someone they would want to like. You can't get mad at someone for not liking you, or not responding the way you want. Sure, you can get mad if they are actually rude to you, but that's not very often. And usually the only times someone would be rude is because you're continually pestering and annoying them. Imagine, if someone you found unattractive was always talking to you, always doing stuff for you. Is there any nice thing they could do for you that would all of a sudden make you attracted to them? I've said this before. Reddit changed my attitude on if I was the nice guy or an asshole with this simple phrase: women are not X machines where you insert niceness tokens into. Sometimes the girl just isn't into you, and that is alright. You can't force attraction. This is actually what did it for me too. I was a nice girl, but I eventually figured out that the problem was that despite the fact that guys like to talk to me in private or online, and not in public, was because I was embarrassing to be around. It sounds harsh, but it's true. I have strange tastes and communication patterns that can be pretty off-putting and confusing. Sometimes I don't make sense to anyone but me. Sometimes I come off as mean when I have no such intention. I'm easily distracted in conversation and have narrow interests. Unchecked, I know I turned a lot of stomachs with these patterns. I have a much better handle now. No level of niceness was going to make up for that cringe factor. Eventually, I toned down the cringe, actually got a ton of tips from Reddit that helped me, that niceness token analogy stuck with me too, and found someone who found my quirks endearing who I also liked. Even better, I found a noticeable shift from people finding me annoying to finding me adorable in general. It doesn't sound great for a grown woman, but it's a better alternative to unintentionally pushing people away. Changing the focus to what I can do, as opposed to what other people should do, made it all possible. I'm grateful every day for this perspective shift. I think this goes for most things in life too. Games, relationships, work, school. Focus on what you can do about yourself and the outside world becomes much easier to move through.